to see, like, I've been scammed. I did a mining project with the head of the Bitcoin Foundation, but yeah, 7,700 Bitcoins now is worth over $350 million.
Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Fuck.
I mean, you can think about these things and like...
Jesus. 3, 2, 1, and we're live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on another episode of Jesus. Your host, George Mora, and your co-host. All right, well, we've been through it. We don't have a co-host no more, but I do got a guest. I got a dope-ass guest on, a guy I've been trying to get on for a while now. Sitting right next to me, we got Giacomo.
How's it going?
What's up, bro? What's up, man? Yeah, he's a financial Bitcoin expert that I've been talking about. I've been praising about for like a while now, right?
Hopefully not too much.
Hopefully not too much. And then you're also a DJ at night, so that's like dope as hell too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really getting out there now. So I guess, today we're really gonna, I guess we could teach people more about like Bitcoin and like what you do and like I guess why people should look into it or like do more research on it. And I'll just be asking you some questions like a dumbass, which I pretty much am a fucking dumbass when it comes to this Bitcoin shit.
We're all dumbasses relative to someone, you know.
Exactly.
There's always someone who knows
I mean,
more.
you're the fucking. I mean, would you call yourself an expert?
I mean, I've been in the space for a long time. Like, I started...
How long is long?
My first Bitcoin conference, I went in 2013 when Bitcoin was like $100. And my friend, like, who introduced me to Bitcoin essentially posted on my wall on Facebook. He was like, look into this. I even have it saved. I could pull it up at some point. He's like, look into this. Like, I feel like this is a good investment. And I looked up the price the day he sent me the article. It was $3.40 for one Bitcoin, like a whole Bitcoin.
And when was that? 2017? No,
That was in 2012, 2013.
2012, 2013. Yeah. Like one of your friends. And what was he exactly? What was he like? Also an investor or just a guy who just kind of stumbled onto something or heard a rumor?
So he was a good friend of mine in high school. Super smart, like very lazy but incredibly intelligent. Would basically put like a half hour of effort into his homework every night and get like straight A's. And this was like a very competitive high school. So I always knew he was going to do something like very intelligent one day.
Like investing in Bitcoin?
Yeah. And like freshman year in college, he sends me this message and he's like, hey, what you been up to? Let's talk. I've been getting involved in Bitcoin. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this looks interesting. There was a Wired article. I remember that was one of the first like well-written publications that kind of explained, okay, this is this technology. It's an open source software. It's been released anonymously or pseudonymously. So we still don't know who.
Because nobody knows anything like who made Bitcoin. Like, right, that's like the biggest mystery in the Bitcoin space, which is just. But they have a name for him.
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Satoshi Nakamoto. There you go. I was about to butcher his name. Call him Yoshi.
Yeah, it's a Japanese pseudonym that this guy or group of programmers chose as the moniker for the creator of Bitcoin. And there's a couple of reasons why it's interesting that they chose a Japanese
Why is it important
name.
that nobody knows about him? Like, why is he anonymous?
It like the whole spirit of Bitcoin is it's decentralized, open source.
What's decentralized mean for like just people who are just
Sure, it means that it's not a company or one person who controls the software. It's like distributed.
So like banks, governments, like they can't really completely regulate it, right?
Yeah, they can regulate it. They can try to regulate it, but they can't control it.
They can't control it.
They can't stop me from sending a Bitcoin transfer if I want to do it. They could find out that I did it and then get me in legal trouble for it if it's, for whatever reason, not a legal transaction. But they can't stop the actual transfer of money, which is new because a bank can freeze your account if, you have an arrest warrant or something.
Yeah.
And so financially, you can be totally frozen. On the international level, Vladimir Putin, for example, and, a lot of high-level Russian
But
oligarchs.
why is it really like a good thing for it to be decentralized? For me, I guess I'd see decentralization as like a form of like like freedom, I guess, and if you compare it to the dollar. But how about like security wise, like
So
Bitcoin
yeah, I would
security?
say it's less about freedom and more about security. It makes it so that it's anti-fragile, so it has no central point of failure. Like, you know, a private company might have all their servers in one location, although a lot of them are now more cloud-based. But if you blow up a server farm, you can destroy all of the data that a company has if they only locate their data in that one server farm. So Bitcoin by design is totally decentralized. There's two aspects, nodes and mining. Nodes retain a copy of the whole ledger, which is all the transactions that have ever been done.
Okay.
And that's kind of how the system keeps going and verifying itself. Like every new block that's created is a instance of the verification of all the transactions being like in a specific order. Such
Basically,
that,
it's like very traceable.
yes,
right?
you can
see every single like purchase that's been made with a Bitcoin. It's just all like just jotted down within the system, and it creates like a block, right? And that's essentially what blockchain technology is, right?
Yeah, a good example of that I've heard it described as is the invention of triple entry accounting. So double entry accounting is you have credits and debits, and then the third entry is this public visibility of it. So everything that it's totally transparent. You can Google all the transactions that have been done on the blockchain.
So if I wanted to like look for it, where would I go search for it? Like all.
So
like
there's aggregators. There's websites like one of them is blockchain.info. Although I've heard that's had some security issues, but I mean you can just use it to explore. If you have any Bitcoin address or transaction ID, you can just Google the address and it'll show you all the like sent and received values of Bitcoin from that account, and it'll show other addresses, which are wallets. Now, what it doesn't tell you is who actually owns or controls those wallets. And if you're very clever, you can be totally anonymous because it's essentially online cash. So if you control a wallet key, it's a private key that unlocks this public balance. The public balance can be verified, but to actually control the wallet and move the coins, you need the private key. And that's what you guard like cash, because that's a private key can control, 1 million Bitcoins.
1 million Bitcoin. But like, so essentially like I use my Bitcoin, and this is why I've become more iffy on the whole Bitcoin side and the more like, should you invest in it? Cause I really do want to drop like 10K into like Bitcoin at like 20,000, but not at these like 50, 60s, even though I know that people are saying that it can go up to 1 million, it can go up to 100,000 even this year. And that's, in my opinion, like very heavily speculated. And then for a lot of other people, they're just thinking, hey, like we're going to hold it and it's just going to completely, the fiat currency is going to crash and it's going to replace fiat currency, right? Like the dollar.
Yeah, so I don't think it works very well as a currency. You get a fixed fee when the network is congested, and if it gets very congested, sometimes you're paying $5, $10, even up to $20 if you want a transaction verified like within the next 10 minutes. So that doesn't work for like a cup of coffee or like your everyday transactions. I think
isn't it instantaneously though?
It can be instantaneous if you don't wait for confirmations. So every 10 minutes, which is when a block is generated in the network, that's when the next batch of transactions is like stamped and officially sent out. You don't have to wait for that stamp, but if you don't, typically the average is you want to wait for 3 confirmations, which is on average 30 minutes. And then that's like a guaranteed transaction. If you don't wait for that first transaction, a really clever programmer could find a way to reverse it before it gets confirmed.
So like what happened to me with Bitcoin literally was somebody hacked into my email account. They tried to hack into my phone. My phone got locked down. Then from there, they literally hacked into my Coinbase account because I didn't have the 2-factor authentication.
SIM swap?
You should fucking do it. That's what they were trying to do. Apparently, that's what I figured out they were trying to do. But like T-Mobile had it on control, and they like just locked down the entire phone completely, and I couldn't get into the account, which was hard for me to like lock down the account itself. And I'm assuming since I didn't have the two-factor authentication, somebody literally just jumped into the Coinbase account, took the Bitcoin, switched it for Ethereum, and then so they just sold the Bitcoin, then bought Ethereum with it. And then they switched it to like a Coinbase Pro account. And then from there, they transferred the money over to like some mining site. And pretty much like I tried contacting Coinbase and nothing, bro. Like they can't. I guess I already knew once that happens, the money is like impossible to recover at that point. So
that's the strength and like dangerous part about this kind of technology. It's if you don't, the private key is everything. If you lose it, or someone else gains access to it, then they have your cash.
So it wasn't really even the private key; it was just the Coinbase account, right?
That's it was
the
just password.
That's
the third party that deals with it.
Yeah.
And so I mean, either way, you have to be careful with passwords and two-factor and three-factor, and so it's always a balance between ease of use and security.
Yeah,
like, that's always.
But like if you go through like a bank account or like things like that, like you said, I think that the regulations help in like freezing from like theft and like Webull, especially like, pending transactions and all this stuff. Like there's time to once you figure it out to kind of take action. But with crypto, like, or like Bitcoin especially, it was just so like fast, like instantaneously, whereas like really nothing you could do about it once they get in. It's like you're fucked.
Yeah.
So like for me, that's where like the whole security thing, I think that in the future it could definitely be like a little more secured if the third party apps had like more responsibility on it. But what would you say is like a better what do you use to trade Bitcoin? Do you use Coinbase?
So I mainly use Gemini for my spot transactions because they're I think they're the only well-regulated one that you can use in New York.
I've heard about Gemini. Gemini is based in New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's run by the guys who try to create Facebook or kind of create Facebook.
Yeah, the guy, the Winklevoss twins.
The Winklevoss twins, right?
The Winklevi, as I like to call them.
Winklevi.
They were the guys who came up with the idea of Facebook that Mark Zuckerberg zucked them out of, and
then they just,
settlement money that they got from the lawsuit with Facebook, it was a couple $100 million. Put it into Bitcoin, and now they're like, they were the first Bitcoin billionaires. So, if it continues on this trajectory, the funny story would be if they end up becoming richer than Mark Zuckerberg through,
Which, listen, I respect how persistent they are, though. Like, that's fucking crazy. I mean,
yeah,
somebody can steal your $1 billion idea, just create another one.
Like, yeah, let's make another billion.
Make another $1 billion idea.
Like, it takes balls.
It takes fucking balls to do that, man. So yeah, man, I don't know. I think a lot of people would be definitely more have a lot more information on Bitcoin after this, for sure. Because like you definitely obviously know your shit, right?
I mean, I've just been around long enough to see, like, I've been scammed. I did a mining project with the head of the Bitcoin Foundation in 2014. Basically, I invested with him through my friend who had actually introduced me to Bitcoin. And we ended up giving him somewhere on the order of 7,700 Bitcoins that he was going to use for this mining project. It made sense for his collateral to be Bitcoin because the whole project would give a certain amount of Bitcoins in a certain amount of time, depending on how the network difficulty was. And it was like guaranteed at least 20% return on our Bitcoin. And we were interested in holding the Bitcoin because we thought it would go up.
So you're just trying to invest your Bitcoin.
A Bitcoin-based return, which is at that time like impossible to find like outside of something like this. And we thought we could trust this guy because he was the head of the Bitcoin Foundation at the time. Peter Vesinis, absolute scammer. I can say that because I wasn't implicated in the lawsuit. My partner can't talk about it, but I didn't have my name in it. But yeah, 7,700 Bitcoins now is worth over $350 million.
Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Fuck.
I mean, you can think about these things and like.
Listen, damn, bro. Like the story you just told, compare the fucking story I just had seems like fucking pussy shit, bro. But for me, like I said, I took it on the chin. You know, I shared it. It is what it is to me. You know, like I should have been smarter. There's always, once you make that mistake, just don't make the same mistake again. That is one of those fuck. But like you still like successful. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we got paid a 1.5x return on our investment, which in any other market is amazing. But in the time, Bitcoin went up 10 times. You know, it was like $100 when we first invested with him, and it went up to about $1,000. That first kind of, or second or third bubble.
That's why, like, it at around 2017 is when there was a lot of people on Instagram, like, having these stories of like people mining like a bunch of different things, and then they're like, yo, listen, get your friends and sign up, and if they invest money, you know, obviously you're going to be making 20% return on everything we mine. And I heard this and they're like, yeah, you know, you could start with like 150 or 200 or whatever, but it has to be like worth this much, and then, you know, we'll give you your money back within a week if you want, and if not, you could just keep investing more and tell your friends about it. And we're like totally legit. Like, to me, it came off scammy, right? And then I guess that kind of gave a lot of people the impression of like a scam.
Yeah.
And it could be, but it's also legit, right? That's also legit. That's also.
So you can have legit mining operations, and there's a lot of like cloud funded, like crowdsourced mining operations that are somewhat successful. But the issue is it's very hard to predict the network difficulty. Like what you get from mining is your computing power out of the whole pie of computing power that's trying to mine for Bitcoin times the amount of Bitcoin that are released.
And there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin that will ever be in existence, and the last Bitcoin won't be mined till like thousands of years from now.
It's an asymptotic curve that every 4 years roughly gets cut in half in terms of the amount of Bitcoin produced. So it was 25 for like initially it was 50, then 25, then 12.5, then 6.25.
So in 4 years, will it be worth more or less?
Well, so everyone knows this, right? The schedule is pre-programmed. There's only 21 million. So it's not like there's no new information on the supply side. That's like known. Anything that changes is based on the demand side with a fixed supply. Although the one thing that does change on the supply side is you have people losing Bitcoin. So as people use Bitcoin, you know, once in a while someone forgets a password. Again, with my friend, I once sent him 60 Bitcoin for, we were just exchanging, like I was selling him some Bitcoin, he was giving me some cash. At the time it was maybe a couple grand. So, I mean, still a lot of money, but, and he forgot the password to his account. Like he lost out on a couple of grand. Like it sucked, but, you know, it is what it is. And then now 60 Bitcoin is worth, $300,000.
How high do you think this Bitcoin thing could go though? Like, I guess, all right, realistically,
not $3 million.
$3 million.
$3 million. Yeah. No.
I just literally seen a guy, I think his name is Trevon James. People call him a scammer. I don't know. I followed him in 2017, and I don't know if you've heard of him, Trevon James. You haven't? Well, he's like a big guy on Twitter and was a big guy on YouTube too, just like talking about Bitcoin and like trading Bitcoin. And he literally just recently recovered one of his accounts from like Binance or something like that, and he had like 1,278 Bitcoin in there. Yeah, and I'm just like,
that's a you know, your life is set at that point because you just invest that at whatever, like even at if you can find a safe 2% return, although that's hard these days.
So like, I guess right now, right, for the people watching, like, what would you would you tell them to buy now? Like, all right, so I have 0 Bitcoin right now, right? I'm off with 0 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What's the best strategy moving forward if I want to get into the Bitcoin game? Obviously, I think we already know that the best from all these experiences that you've gone through, that have gone through, it's pretty much hold the fucking Bitcoin and don't sell that bitch, right?
It depends. I mean, so
or yeah, what would
it's hard to value. Like when I was in college, I wrote a paper my senior year. It was like my economics thesis, and it was on how to value Bitcoin. And at the time, I did a framework that a lot of people use, which is Bitcoin is digital gold. How much is gold worth? You know, all the gold in the world. Bitcoin could be worth at least a part of that, a portion of that. So at the time, the total value of the market cap of gold was about $9 trillion. And Bitcoin's market cap was maybe $100 million at the time. And I was like, let's say, Bitcoin, it's digital gold. You can't touch it. So it's a little harder to like grasp the concept, but it's much more limited and much more transportable than gold. It's heavy to carry and protect and store gold. Bitcoin, if you just know your code for your key, you can find creative ways to store 64, just a string of characters. So let's say Bitcoin absorbs, 10% of gold's market cap. That's $1 trillion.
Jesus Christ.
Which is where we are today. And that's like, $50,000 Bitcoin roughly.
Yeah.
I wasn't that, in my paper, I was not thinking 10%. I was like, Bitcoin might get 1%. So I was like 5,000. I think I said $4,000 at the time. And it was trading around 200 when I wrote the paper. I was like, so $200 to $4,000, like that's a pretty amazing return. So I would invest. Now here we are at $50,000.
$50,000.
And so like based on that thesis, it's overvalued, right? But
and you think anything currently right now at right now it's been dropping. Today it's been dropping. It was at what, $52,000? Hold up. Let me see what
we went
Bitcoin's
close
right now.
we went right about 50,300 or so. We didn't drop below 50.
You didn't drop below 50? Is it going back up?
Yeah, and I think last I checked, we were almost 52.
Let me see. It's at 51,000. Yeah, so it's almost at 52. That's insane, man.
Yeah, but it's a matter of like thinking of the total value of all the Bitcoins. So there's 21 million Bitcoins, which is not that many units of something. Like,
so if you were a new investor and you had some cash in the bank, what would you do with Bitcoin? Would you wait to buy it, or would you just buy it and hold it?
So the easiest answer to that, not to think about it, you dollar cost average. So you set a certain time frame, let's say 3 months, and whatever you want to invest, you divide it into, let's say 30 days per month, into 90 units. So every day for 3 months, you put 1/90th of what the total you want to have invested in Bitcoin is. What should be the total portfolio allocation for Bitcoin? That's also hard. Like you could use the gold, typically old school modern portfolio theory says maybe 2% and 2 to 5% in like gold and precious metals. So if you like Bitcoin and you want to be aggressive, maybe 1% would be a conservative allocation. A lot of people
That's what I hear a lot of people saying. 1% of like your net worth. Essentially invest like 1% of your net worth into Bitcoin. It'll pay off.
Yeah, if you're, again, of the old school kind of conservative,
which is me. I'm pretty fucking conservative in money management. And I had $1,000 in that shit. So like,
yeah, and then and then you can look at, say, it's like on average over the past 10 years, it's had a 200% per year return, which compounds, and you're like, oh, I should have invested more,
if Bitcoin hits 100,000, like what's your plans? Like,
honestly, that's far less surprising than like it having gone, like my friend first told me about it at $3, like percentage return wise from 3 to 30,000, like that's insane. Like from 30,000 to 100,000, that's just 3x.
Yeah, I think
3 to 30,000 is it's just these are logarithmic scales, so it can be harder to, like, a network effect, which is more people using the Bitcoin network, it having a fixed supply and thus the value going up. As the network expands, it doesn't expand at a linear rate, it's exponential. So with a fixed supply, the price will then increase exponentially as well, and it's just hard to grasp exponential increases, because it's like 10 to 100 being
100 to
same to like 100 to 1,000.
Yeah, 1,000 to like 100,000. Yeah, it's crazy.
So it looks big, like 50,000 to 100,000 looks huge, but it's only a doubling, whereas 5,000 to 50,000 is 10x, so
pretty much, buy the fucking Bitcoin, hold the fucking Bitcoin,
but
use Gemini.
Like now I it's impossible to say where the price is going. Anyone who says they know if it's going up or down is lying. There's models that people build that can try to predict it based on certain factors, like the future price of Bitcoin, which is kind of what I do.
What do you think is driving Bitcoin right now? Because I feel like what's really driving Bitcoin is just all the attention that it's getting, and people are very forgetful. People, this age has a lot of ADHD. So once Bitcoin isn't the talk of the town, you're gonna see it naturally drop in value, which I think it's a healthy thing for Bitcoin, because like you said, it is like massively, I think, overvalued, because it's not really like people haven't really built the idea of owning it yet. They just kind of want to get rich quick. So they're just like, yo, let me just throw my money in there.
That's the speculative demand. But there is a hardcore base, like supporting like diehard, often libertarian core that will buy no matter what. Like they're like, every week I make a certain amount of money. They get a paycheck and they're like, a certain amount of that I'm just putting into Bitcoin until I die.
And that's what I was thinking about doing. I was thinking about, yo, maybe let me just throw like 100 a week into Bitcoin, then like $50 into Ethereum a week, and then just see where that goes, and then just do that consistently over time. And I think it'll pay off regardless. Not even worry about it.
Yeah, and I tend there's two frameworks for looking at the altcoins, as they're called.
The altcoin is basically any coin that's not Bitcoin.
Yeah, so there's over 2,000 of them. The biggest one besides Bitcoin is Ethereum.
Do you buy anything else besides Bitcoin and Ethereum?
So not as like even Ethereum I don't hold. I just
Trade them.
So essentially what I do is I trade the futures, which are a derivative of Bitcoin.
Okay.
And the future will trade. So let's say every 3 months there's a contract that's worth, 1 Bitcoin. The June. There's a June.
How do you go about finding these contracts?
So there's the CME and or CBOE doesn't do it anymore. So CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, is the most regulated futures exchange.
And you can do that here in New York, or?
You could, but that's designed for institutional investors. So it's like you have to be trading hundreds of thousands. I don't use that. I use offshore exchanges because I have an Italian citizenship. They're not open to American investors because there's a lot of regulation and red tape to giving just average retail investors access to these potentially highly leveraged futures exchanges, because you can get up to 100x leverage on them.
Yeah.
Or 125x for Binance, which is more recently launched futures products. But that means if you have $1 in the exchange, you can buy or short $100 worth of Bitcoin. Or if you have 1,000, you could go short $100,000 worth of Bitcoin.
Basically like day trading Bitcoin. Swing trading?
Swing trade, day trade.
Swing trade, day trade.
That's the speculators. I don't do that. I essentially lend to the speculators. So if you short, you can just take advantage of high interest in the Bitcoin space by shorting the future and holding long the spot being the current price. So
what would be like an example of that? Just very practically.
People think Bitcoin is going to go to the moon, right?
Yeah.
So for a June Bitcoin, it costs more than a Bitcoin now, at least at the moment. In some rare instances, that flips. But now a June Bitcoin is something like 5% more or 6% more than a current Bitcoin. At some points in time, that spread widens. Like a few weeks ago, it was at 5% per month, basically, if you broke it down.
And how would you calculate that number? You just divide
by however many days until the contract expires, and then when it expires, it converts your contract Bitcoin into a physical Bitcoin, basically. And on the day it expires, it'll converge to the actual price of Bitcoin that day, guaranteed, because it's just for every buyer of the contract, there's a seller. So
and doing this, how profitable have you been yearly? I gotta say.
So this is far less profitable than just going leverage long and being I think it's going to go up 10% tomorrow, and going 10x long, and then you double your money that way if you're right. With this, you're making potentially up to 5% per month, and it compounds. So you could make 60, even up to 100% a year. I know someone who's making almost 1,000% a year with a computer model that just basically finds the most, widely wide gaps between the future price and the spot price.
And have you ever thought about making like a course or like something trying to like explain people who are outside of country how to do this?
So you can't even really do this if you're in the US. Like I use a VPN. That's how everyone here kind of does it.
Well, like, I mean, like outside of this country, like maybe you go to Italy, right? And like, that's where you can do it, or no?
I mean, at this point, it's a pretty niche
It's a very small amount of people doing
area.
it.
So, and if more people do it, then the returns will be smaller.
Smaller.
So it's like, it's
something you
it's
don't really want to share
winner
too
takes
much.
all kind of a thing, right? There's a
All
pie,
right.
and the more people eat out of the pie, then the less
Essentially,
returns are available.
You're like kind of like playing with like margins, I guess, right? Kind of
Yeah,
like,
but basically the beauty of the strategy, so you hold one Bitcoin of spot long, you short the June Bitcoin. It doesn't matter if Bitcoin triples overnight or crashes to $20 overnight, the value of your portfolio stays constant. You're just playing that slow spread, that 5% a month,
yeah.
as it converges. So if it crashes, typically it'll converge. Like when it crashes, people get pessimistic. So if it really crashes hard, sometimes the future price is less than the current price. And that's when you cash out and switch. And that's when I would do speculative longs and not even short anything, expose myself so that if it crashes more, I'll lose some. But almost every time that the future price has been below the spot price, it's incredibly predictive of a like price increase.
And how much does this take throughout your day? So like,
Because
I guess like do
totally
like
hedged,
research, like some numbers. Like, do you spend like every day doing it, or like once a week, or like 3 times a week?
No,
or, like,
so I can set the position. So I short one June contract, hold one Bitcoin worth of spot long, and then just I could forget it until June 26th basically, and then check the market again and find out the next thing to do. That could be the way to do it.
but are you like always reading stuff or like news or like
Yeah, so
articles? and
I
stuff
take
like
a
that?
little more of an active approach because sometimes you get a big price drop and it converges more than it should based on like if it were just to like steadily linearly converge. So I can reallocate, I can make small adjustments, but yeah, I don't try to play huge swings, and
Yeah.
I'm always just trying to get this interest, and the interest rates are higher as there's more FOMO, and everyone's kind of like, oh, it's going to go to the moon, like so I'm just lending to speculators.
Yeah, no, I get what you're doing. I get what you're doing. It's actually really, really smart. I think you're taking like advantage of the market, and like I guess a great way for you though.
There's a saying like in the gold rush, people who were looking for gold didn't get rich. It was people who were selling the shovels.
Yeah.
So what are the shovels now? It's borrowed money. It's like people trying to borrow money to speculate, and they have their ego. They're like, I'm smart. I know that it's going to go up tomorrow or it's going to go down.
Yeah.
But statistically, everyone's always wrong. Like it's a random walk. Like
Yeah. You're like
if you're right a lot of the time, you're just lucky. You're just on the right end of the bell curve, of
Yeah.
probability.
You're like the middleman trying to like guess, like, is this going to be worth more? And then like they buy it off you, right?
I mean, it's a totally kind of decentralized way to do it. Like you're not lending to any one specific person.
Not specifically.
It's just a market for borrowed money.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I'm just taking advantage of high speculative demand and earning way more than what you can get in like a CD or like, for
Which makes sense.
risk.
I think it's just like a great entrepreneurial like route that you're taking. So it's like really cool. Cause all right, I want to get like away from this Bitcoin. I really want people to really know who Giacomo is, because we did spend like 30 minutes talking about it. And I hope y'all learned something about Bitcoin, because I'd be talking about it and I think you explained it really, really well. So you can like pause it and like rewind and listen to that. But yeah, man, like how do we meet? Like we met at work, right?
Yeah. So
I just started working bartender, and then you came in. Actually, I think I trained you day one, right?
you did, yeah. So essentially in college I studied finance and accounting, and my long-term goal in life still is eventually to open a very cool hospitality venue. So like bar, lounge, and really manage the music, because I think ultimately music is my main passion. You know, Bitcoin is very cool. It's an amazing technology. I see potential.
But it's a good investment. It's not like something you really, I guess, want to like.
Yeah, it's like a techno geek, you know, fantasy land almost, and it's cool to follow it. And yeah, there's ways to make money out of it, but ultimately, I've always viewed myself like I kind of admire the CEO of Goldman Sachs now. He's by day CEO of like Goldman Sachs, you know, huge investment bank, probably the most reputable bank still, especially in the trading space.
Yeah.
Commodities trading. And at night, he's actually a DJ, DJ D Sol. So his name is David Solomon, and he does parties like in the Hamptons. He actually got in trouble this summer for doing a party in the Hamptons with the Chainsmokers when, you know, they were supposed to be locked down and everything.
I think I heard of that too, bro. I think I really heard of that. I think that went like viral, right?
And I was surprised. How does the CEO of Goldman Sachs, you know, banks are typically very regulated. How does he get away with that?
Suit and tie, and then I mean, yo, listen,
hosting a super spreader event. I mean, you know, I respect him for having this passion and DJing, and you know.
When you have over $1 billion, I've know this, bro. I think I haven't covered the story. I have covered the story on a lost episode, but pretty much the district attorney, even in New York City, is in your pocket, bro. There's a story of a guy who literally rode around in like a $1 million car in Midtown Manhattan during COVID when there was curfew, crashed into 5 different cars, all completely caught on camera, so many witnesses, fled the scene. Cops still caught him. People still recorded him inside the car, and he got the charges expunged. Dude's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Bro, look it up. It's a real story, bro. I swear to God.
No, I believe it.
But that's crazy, bro. They got you on camera, and he got off with could not be proven without a reasonable doubt. I'm like, how? He's on camera driving the car. You see him. You see him getting out the car.
Look at the Bruce Jenner thing too, right? Like, you know, similar situation. Fame and wealth can buy your way out of trouble.
Anything, yeah, man.
Sometimes not, you know, if you take it too far. But
I think yo, but listen, I totally divulged, but the DJ thing is dope as hell, right?
Yeah.
Like you get to make money and then DJ, do like your creative thing on the side. What made you want to start like DJing, or like at what age were you like, yo, listen, like I'm into music, like?
So I remember in middle school, I was really into piano, but I hated classical piano. I was more about composing, and so I leaned to jazz, like just creating things as opposed to like following the script. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind
right.
of what
you play
launched
piano,
it.
You're good at jazz, yeah.
And then I got an Apple computer, and they had GarageBand, and that was just an amazing tool to like explore like using a keyboard input to play like a whole orchestra worth of sounds. And I looked up to like John Williams and Hans Zimmer and these amazing like film score composers, because like they just create such emotional soundtracks. And you know, there's like the music theory side of it, which is, you know, it says like a chord progression should be a specific way, and like it has to be this way. And then there's more modern style, which is like you can just make sounds, and then if they're not technically correct, they still can elicit a certain emotion. You know, it doesn't have to be like by the book. So I just took from there to like sampling.
And now you're DJing in
so I'm
places.
I've been events with the pandemic and stuff. I've been more producing, so working on my own actual tracks and remixes, so that I think the summer is going to be the grand reopening summer, like post-war kind of vibes, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I'm just readying myself to be at the forefront, help organize DJs, DJ myself.
Facts. I got some tunes right here that you loaded to me. I can play them.
Yeah. So this is a little thing I threw together today. It's just a mashup. I started it a couple hours ago. It's very
trappy. No, I can feel it. I can feel it's in like a club party place. Oh, I see what you did. Yeah.
It's for when you're like hammered, you know, and it's just like breaks down nicely.
Yeah, cause my cousin Christian, he was listening to this, and he was like, "Yo, I'm so down. I'm so with this. This is dope." Blah blah blah. So I'm like, "Yo, listen, like I'm so into music. I like bringing on artists. I think I like just bringing on people that are just completely creative. But also, yo, how are the shorties, bro, in this space, bro? I think I heard he was dating models too or something, right?
Not dating, but but no, yeah, it's like when I am single, yes.
For the ladies listening.
But yeah, no, I was in a relationship. A girl moved to Norway, and then I was gonna move there and stuff.
We're gonna marry her?
Maybe. And then
So
she was like, you know, this isn't really like, I don't know how long this lockdown's gonna last, whatever. So I got long distance dumped. And but no, it was actually like a good creative fuel, you know, because like Taylor Swift says, breakups are, you know, bad for the heart but great for music.
I like how you literally just dropped the Taylor Swift line.
I mean, you know, gotta respect her. You know, you say what you want, but she's big, you know.
No, she's huge.
She's talented as fuck.
Kanye don't think so, but you know.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, I think they're allies more than enemies. You know, they do the whole beefs for the
media
followers. It's like what Trump does. You know, he took the playbook to the presidency. Like,
Facts.
Just be controversial and.
Bro, listen, I'm with the shits. I like internet beef. I think it's funny. I think it creates entertainment.
It's hilarious.
I when it gets to family, I think is like going too far. But I think I like the boxing in it. I like the real fighting. I like these YouTubers fighting each other. It's not an easy sport. It's hard, but I think it's just entertaining. I love the Conor McGregors of the world and all that shit.
Yeah, you're an entertainer at the end of the day. I mean, with him, I guess you're an athlete, but like still, it's embellished.
And then you got like Biggies and like Tupacs and like Jay-Z's and like Nas, like just a bunch of shit, bro. It's like it's just fire, bro. Eminem, MGK, Drake's.
No, there's so much. That's the thing. It's like endless. Like that's what I love about music. And then it's all like connected to each other. Like rock comes from you know, certain strings of music that were influenced by other genres, and then you get blues and jazz, and everything kind of weaves, and you know, it's just a whole story. And
so like after you left Indian accent, when did you meet this girl, the girl from Norway?
Oh, that was a pandemic relationship, actually.
You met her throughout the pandemic
in March of last year. It was like a year ago.
But you met her here?
Yes.
And then she had to go back?
She was on a work visa, and she switched jobs in February. So she moved back in February.
That's crazy. Because I met my girl during the pandemic too, and literally it was just, I didn't see her. I just slide in through Instagram, bro. I just slide in through the DMs. Like, just it's my biggest thing, bro. I just go through like any girl that I see. I spend 2 minutes looking at her profile. I'm like, all right, like 3 pics.
See, I've heard of that working. I've never seen it. Like, so that's cool to see that it actually, like, I mean, if anything, if you're using dating apps, you know, it's like the same. If anything, it's more personal in a way than a dating app. I mean, it's like.
It's Instagram.
You have the whole Instagram. So.
Yeah. Instagram is like so like I guess like with like women, it's like they really need to get to know you before, you know, they even talk to you, right? Because they got a million guys going through their Instagrams like, hey, right? So you need to find like a way to stand out. And the way I did that was literally, I would just look at the profile. I don't spend too much time looking at profiles. Like, again, I'm just trying to slide in as many DMs as I can. And whoever responds back. Cause yo, listen, they could be having an ex, you know, fucking in the side. They could just be bored trying to fuck with me, you know what I'm saying? Talk to me, blah, 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 and then just waste my time. And my time is very valuable. So that's why, yo, I you know, like I had a thing of like having just a girl on rotation, right? Have one girl here. Cause yo, I feel like I've had that done to me too, right? Yeah. Like, yo, like other girls have you on rotation. Like, yo, yeah, I'll talk to you every other Tuesday or some shit. Like, yo, fuck out of here, bro. You know,
like you're the Tuesday guy.
Exactly, but you know, with the girl I'm with now, like it wasn't like that. Like I couldn't talk to her, right? I mean, I could talk to her, but I couldn't physically see her. So it kind of created like this distance, but also this connection through where like we would text a lot, and it wasn't really going anywhere. And then I'd be like, you know what? Like, let me call you. Like, let me talk to you, right? Like, I want to hear your voice, right? Maybe she'll get more comfortable like that and like open up to me more. right? And that's what I like to do, because I don't want to meet up with a girl that I haven't spoken to or FaceTime and that I don't have real connection with, because I know it's pretty much like a 50, right? Either you feel each other or she's just still hung up on her ex, or, you go out with all these like just other
there's
girls.
a lot from body language in person too that you can't get with like Zoom.
Exactly.
At least you get something there, and then
exactly. But
but body language is huge.
It's huge. It's huge. And for me, it was like more about like, all right, cool. Like, let me call her. She felt uncomfortable calling. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to send her voice notes, and I'm going to see when she gets comfortable to send us voice notes. And then sure enough, she did. And then we got into the whole calling thing. Then, she picked up the phone, then FaceTime. Then I went over and smashed. Like when I talked her out of the whole COVID shit, I'm like, yo, this is a scam. This ain't working right now. And and fair enough, I met her on 420. So we're almost coming up on a year now.
We're coming up on an important anniversary.
Yeah, man. But no, she's a really cool person. She's a dope person. And I think that social media, if anything, for the most part, people like just quick to hook up with like Tinder and stuff. Sure. It really actually helped us create more of like an emotional connection. But also with me, it was like, dude, like I wasn't going to get anywhere by just like, in my opinion, I'm not good at like just going out and like just talking to girls like just randomly, unless it was like a friend of a friend. I feel like I come off as a creep.
Or unless you've had like 2 Long Island iced teas. That's usually my strategy. Just get beyond plastered, and then I somehow have the confidence.
Have the confidence to go up and talk to them. But if not, for me, it's like, yo, I have a nice enough social Instagram, right, where I display myself. Again, not like all model
pics. You got an OnlyFans?
No, I don't have an OnlyFans. I'm not going to create no fucking OnlyFans. That is the future, and it's not. I don't even look bad on it. I actually want to bring on somebody with OnlyFans. I talked to my girl about her creating an OnlyFans, but the more you get into like the whole OnlyFans thing, it's really like when you get just in the whole influencer and creator space, like you need to keep creating new content, right? And then you see the comments, and then that can kind of motivate you or demotivate you. And at the end of the day, you're not really supposed to give a fuck. You're only supposed to give a fuck the content. But like when you're creating like new lewd content just for money and not really for yourself, then it does something to your psyche. It does something to your mentality. That's not good long term.
Yeah.
Unless you enjoy doing it. Like if you really truly enjoy doing it, like all out to you. Like I completely respect that.
I watched an interview with are you familiar with Sasha Grey?
Is she a porn star?
She's a porn star.
Definitely seen
her. She's done like normal like non-porn
hold on. Let me
TV
look her
shows.
up for
She was
anybody.
on Entourage. But it was funny. She was saying at one point she had the conversation with her dad that she was passionate about pornography and wanted to get into the porn industry. And like, okay, imagine like having that kind of a conversation with a parent. That's like the most awkward thing I can imagine. But she was like, her dad was weirdly supportive in that he was like, all right, like, maybe I'm not happy about this, but if you're going to do it, you better do it 100%. And she did, and then she got into like, beyond porn into more mainstream acting, and she's respected, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm seeing a lot with even Lana Rhoades. You know Lana Rhoades?
Rings a bell.
Damn, bro. Okay. Once I pull her up, you have to know Lana Rhoades. I always talk about Lana Rhoades only because like she's become more of like a YouTube influencer and a podcaster too. And my girl be watching her stuff, and she's not really into the whole like idea of porn. She don't even watch porn, but like she does like her Instagram, like the way she carries herself, and like they're people too, right? And they are kind of doing it for a hustle. And this girl right here, blue-eyed chick. You probably notice her by the tattoo
from like Snapchat or something.
I mean, she's a big porn star, like on Pornhub, everything. She's like fucking huge. I don't know how you missed her, but
I seems familiar.
He's taking a cleanse off Pornhub, guys. No, but I mean, like she's one of those people. So she dated like another celebrity on this show called Impulsive, one of the biggest podcasts in the world right now. Logan Paul, I don't know if you know him.
Yes.
Yeah, big YouTuber. So one of his co-hosts dated Lana Rhoades, and then she got more, I guess, like I feel humanized and like more respected by like really talking more about her experiences in porn, because she only was in the industry for like 4 years, right? And then obviously she's on her OnlyFans and she takes all these pictures, but she makes stupid amount of money. Yep. So much money where I'm like, how could you not do that, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, like I would fucking do it if they were paying me that much.
I think if you're passionate about it, you like the exhibitionist aspect, you know, you like to show yourself either just naked or like having sex with someone, like go for it.
And also, the looks aren't going to last forever, too.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of might as well.
Young, and then you know maybe you'll become the CEO of a bank / porn star one day. You know that could be a cool combo.
Even like Mia Khalifa, you know Mia Khalifa.
Yeah, she's done more like like normal.
Yeah, she does more like talk shows.
You should get her on the podcast. That'd be kind of cool.
I wish I could get on a podcast. She just went on another podcast called Call Her Daddy. Listen, I'm trying to get like strippers. I'm trying to get OnlyFans. I'm trying to get anybody that does anything that really grinds at it and truly cares about it and is cool enough to speak about it openly. You know what I'm saying? Because
passion is passion.
Passion is passion. And for the people that are watching this, I really want them to like, you know, when you turn 18, you're really of that I don't fucking know what I'm going to do with my life until you start opening your eyes and start seeing other people do things. You're like, you know what? Maybe I could see myself doing that. And you try it and it don't work, and that's completely fine. Then you try something else, right? So essentially, when you watch the podcast, I want you to feel like, all right, cool. There's a bunch of different people this motherfucker interviewed. And if I want to learn about one career, then let me just watch this interview. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I could connect with this person. Maybe this person made me like it. Or maybe not, you know? So it's like educational to a certain extent.
No, but like even speaking of like what you can do to earn a living, you know, it's not careers and structured like it used to be. Like someone like Action Bronson, for example, who was like chef turned rapper turned like I think has one of the best shows on television with Fuck That's Delicious.
Fuck That's Delicious on Hulu, right?
Yeah, amazing show. Like
big beefy dude, over 300 pounds I think he was, and then he just
Albanian
lost
guy
all that weight
from Queens.
I'm gonna throw up Action Bronson, bro. How can I not throw up Action Bronson, yo?
But yeah,
I remember getting
the show to anyone who likes food, music, or cannabis. Or all three.
And for real, no funny shit. Like, if you're ever high and you want to watch a music video, watch Action Bronson's music video, bro. That shit is trippy.
Yeah, no, I mean he knows what he's doing. But
I love that dude. Fucking
but yeah,
amazing.
he's like Anthony Bourdain meets like
rap.
Yeah, like 50 Cent or something. I don't know. It's just it's totally innovative, but it works, and it's just
works.
Amazing entertainment.
And again, like like you said, and he is like Anthony Bourdain to a certain extent. I think he tried a lot of foods out here in our neighborhood of Queens. Yo, I wish I could bring Action Bronson on, bro. That'd be so dope, dude.
I mean, I'm talking to some people about, you know, eventually in the summer doing an event where we might try to get Action Bronson, because like the Albanian community is very tight, and I know a couple of Albanians, so.
Hey, bro.
Look out for that.
Yo, listen, bro. I got 4 mics, bro. You know, you could bring on anybody you want to talk about anything on this show. I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I just really do enjoy talking to people.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're coming up on 52 minutes. I don't know, anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to say?
There's so much. What's your view on when like clubs reopen in New York?
So me and my girl had this conversation
like
the other day.
At least 2 a.m. Let's say.
At 2 a.m.
Like until 2 a.m.
Like, do I think they're gonna open up, or would I go to one?
When do you think?
I think
let a club, like a place with bottle service, open until 2 a.m.
So knowing New York, all right. Since you're asking me that question, I'm thinking about it right now. Knowing New York, people will really, like I said, they really do move on from things very, very quickly, right? This is a pandemic, right? You know, this is the whole government's getting involved and like shutting shit down. And from what I understand, the vaccines, we've already got 90% of people on vaccines, right? And I think they're going to take the second round too, and we're coming out with even better vaccines. And also, we're pumping a lot of money into the economy. We need to get all these restaurants up and running ASAP. So I would definitely say, I would agree with you that by the summer, definitely 2 a.m. like DJ, at least by July, bro. Like I do see it happening because, again, New York is a grinding state. Out of all the states, like we wake up and we grind.
They have a huge budget deficit now with, you know, all this money they've had to spend, you know, like every state with the pandemic. So, you know, like with the weed thing, I think that was a big
oh yeah,
the
weed got legalized, bro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you read some of the specifics? That's gonna play a role.
I heard that indoor you can grow like 3 ounces, I think, like that.
You can grow up to 6 plants.
Up to 6 plants, so not like 3 ounces. or more than, or is that
more than 3 ounces.
It's more than 3 ounces?
I've grown before, and I had one plant that yielded 1 pound almost.
Wow, really?
So with 6 plants, if you're
Is
an
that like
amazing
usually
grower,
like platinums, or like what is it? Like what kind of species?
That's the lights. Those are the lights. No, that was Girl Scout cookies.
Girl Scout cookies? Oh wow.
And then I had a White Widow.
White Widow's dope too.
But 6 plants is a lot. Like
6 plants is a lot, man.
You could have, a pound for a plant. You need a really like big operation, but you could easily get 3 pounds from 6 plants.
And they got this machine. You ever heard of the Sedo?
No.
Sedo. So Sedo is basically like this little mini fridge that you can buy. I think it's priced out of under
but
like
see,
$1,000.
Stuff stems from when it had to be discreet. If you can actually do it legally, you don't need the whole discrete setup. I mean, yes, you need the dark so it can have it totally blackout when it needs to be blackout. So you need some sort of a tarp or tent, but
essentially,
it doesn't have to be discreet anymore.
I think this is more for like the people like me that are like really lazy to learn a lot about like growing stuff, and it's very simple. It's just a machine. You hook it up. It's like a little mini fridge. I guess you put your seed in there, you plant it with the soil and all that shit, and then you just water it, and then you just lock it up, and it has monitors, it has cameras everywhere, and you can literally like look at it on your phone like as it's growing. Could even time lapse it.
It's like very like appified kind of.
Yeah, it's like very appified. I think it's under $1,000, and you can literally just hook it up. And I think it's also trying to conserve energy at the same time. Doesn't use as much energy as it needs to. And you literally just hook it up at your crib. You kind of forget about it, and then you just have weed, which to me is like it's very, very.
It's a very cool concept. I doubt that it's as smooth as they make it seem. Like with things like that, especially when it involves live things like plants.
Yeah,
I think it's usually better if you just do research yourself. I just use the website growweedeasy.com. Amazing website. Tells you everything you need to know. Start to finish. Just do the research and then just do it yourself. You'll save money on like all the like bells and whistles, and it's called weed for a reason. It's not that hard to grow. Like it's pretty forgiving once you give it the right blend of nutrients and stuff.
I think the real thing is that right now, especially in New York, we have so many people that are so into exotics, right? They want that Cali weed. They don't want like regular stuff. They want that Jungle Boys, that Runs, that Zaza.
But if you grow it yourself and you control everything, it'll be
you think
shelf.
so?
It'll be like when I grew, like it came out very well. Like everyone was like, yo, this is amazing, where'd you get this? And I was like, I just grew it. I used like organic fertilizer and stuff, and
I've seen,
give it love and you'll get.
I've seen some of the stuff. It's absolutely amazing. But like when I see this like dispensary stuff, it is way stronger, bro. Like way stronger than it needs to be.
Yeah, because and a lot of people they have like scientists and stuff.
Yeah, How do you think the taxation is going to affect like the weed? Do you think a lot of people are going to stop going to their weed dealers and actually just start going to dispensaries?
I think it'll have a big impact on the delivery services because those are overpriced. So there's all these delivery services. You just text a number, they deliver it. Usually it's like $50, $60 for usually less than an eighth. It's like 3 grams. So that market will be hit if you can just go to your dispensary and pick up, at any time.
Yeah.
Then that's actually faster than waiting like 2 to 4 hours for a delivery guy to come.
It makes sense. I feel like
it'll be more. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, sorry. I feel like people are gonna go to the dispensaries and they're gonna be like, holy shit, this weed is a lot of fucking money. Is it really worth it? Either I need to cut back on my weed, or I'm just gonna keep smoking it and spend that premium, or I'm just gonna go back to my other guy until things get cheap. And also, I've seen in New Jersey, right? They legalized this like last year, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen pretty much every district in New Jersey only has one facility open right now, and I'm sure they got more facilities opening, but just one in like the span of like maybe 6-8 months or something. It seems like it's happening a little slow. Maybe in Jersey at least.
Yeah, well, New York, it's surprising that it's taken this long to legalize it, let alone like.
I was thinking the next 2 years, honestly. Like I'm being complete. I was thinking the next 2 years, but I do kind of maybe want to look into like owning a dispensary. I did look into like how much a license for it costs, which is $200,000 to get the license. and a
That's-
$10,000 application
liquor
fee.
licenses are, not that much. It depends, but tens of thousands of dollars. And weed is a more innovative product. Like, so I was looking into the regulation, and so there's the grow plants at home, and then you can have it's structured for these cannabis only lounges. So initially they said no alcohol, which I was like, okay, that kind of sucks. Like, why not both? But it could be cool if you have a club, because it said literally club-like environment without alcohol but with booze. So you just have like a weed menu. I mean, I don't know how they're going to make that much money just with weed. Like, you can only get so high at a club before you're just like passed out.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe it'll be more like a hookah lounge kind of a concept.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like it needs to be a real like chilled back. I don't think hookah and weed really mix together, but like I wish they could do like a nice little like
You've
weed,
never put a
poker,
blunt
and whiskey.
in a hookah in the side?
What?
You've never put a blunt in the side of a hookah?
Hell no, bro. Hell no. The thing with me is the hookah makes me a little lightheaded, especially when I don't eat food, and then smoking the weed will make me super paranoid and lightheaded, and I'm like, that's not a great combination. But like, listen,
no, it's for sure intense. Yeah.
Like playing a little poker, smoking a little weed, drinking a little whiskey, you know what I'm saying? Like that's where I see a lot of at least big industry, big like, let's be honest, just big like bankers, you know what I'm saying? Like people with money in their pockets trying to go to Midtown Manhattan and find that spot that they can sit here and just chill back, relax, kind of like a cigar lounge or like a weed lounge instead.
So the cool thing about weed is due to the molecular structure, like I don't really know the science behind it, but something about tobacco smoke and the molecules that make it up, it's a lot stickier. That's why like if you smoke cigarettes indoors, like eventually like that shit will never leave. Like you'll have to tear down the building. Like that's going to stay in the walls and the clothes. Mm-hmm. Weed does not do that. Like weed, even if you hotbox a room for like hours, you just open the windows and eventually like it doesn't stay in the walls.
Yeah.
So that eventually, if they're smart regulation wise, could be easier to smoke weed indoors, I think, than cigarettes. And that would be actually like cool, because then you could get the return of like indoor smoking.
That makes a lot more sense.
I mean, I don't know if they would ever do that. They don't even allow vaping indoors. So.
Well, they have cigar lounges in Midtown that allow you to smoke. So I think that.
So yeah, I mean, if they're thinking of cannabis lounges, like why not? Like it doesn't stick. Yeah, and I think they actually structured the regulation to specifically say cannabis lounge. Mm-hmm. So it might be like cigar lounges.
Or maybe what we could do is maybe we can set up like an area that's like an event place theme, and then we have a dispensary that's already licensed in the venue. That way it attracts more people, and then you get more people in, and then they're partying and shit, and they get that Zaza. I don't know.
Or,
like legally though, I think that's legal, right?
I mean, it seems like they've segregated for whatever reason for now the like weed and alcohol. They don't want to combine them. So I was thinking, okay, get two venues right next to each other. One is a bar. The one next to it is a weed lounge, and you have the DJ running the same music through both places. So you're essentially, you could do both and kind of hop back and forth.
And you keep like a wall between it, and then you have a door.
It's a separate business.
That would be dope. Like you ever been to Please Don't Tell?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, and you know how they have the hot dog stand, and then they have a whole wall. They have a phone booth.
That's an OG speakeasy.
Yeah. But like, I mean, that's legit. That's like completely legal. And then they have a whole bar when you open that booth, and you're like, oh shit, like this is a completely hidden bar inside. I think that would be dope for like a club event thing, right? Where you have like the dispensary, and you open the door. Oh shit, it's a club event. There's no weed there. It's just a club event, but you're literally walking through the dispensary to get there. And obviously, every dispensary that I've ever been to has a lot of cameras. You have to go into one room,
There's
get
a lot
checked
of security,
in.
ID,
because people will literally come in guns blazing, straight up shooting, trying to. It's crazy.
In New York,
it's crazy.
Like New York is pretty good with like gun regulation. So, I mean,
I want to say yes, but I also
maybe not Manhattan.
The cops don't do shit, bro. And how can they? There's only 36,000 cops in a place where there's 8 million people.
Dispensary that's gonna be making like millions of dollars a year, then eventually I think it's money that they're protecting, right? So like if it's revenue, they're gonna protect. Like it's a capitalist,
but not for mom and pop shops, just for like big corporate places that are already.
But I think initially the only people that can afford these weed licenses are going to be more corporate
things. Yeah.
So in that sense, it'll work out.
Unless we get 4 people with some money to do it, bro. $50K each.
I mean, that'll be part of my lounge concept for sure. Like
Work that bitch in, bro. I'll definitely be an investor.
Like, why not?
Bro.
Like, weed is arguably healthier than alcohol. Like,
I have been a huge proponent of weed since Joe Rogan spoke about it in 2010 or some shit when I was like in 8th grade and I saw a documentary on it. I was like, yo.
I mean, I agree that
into it.
there's, you should have an age. Like, you shouldn't smoke weed when you're developing. But
Well, no, I wasn't smoking.
No,
I was
but
doing research. Like I just saw a documentary on Netflix. No, I
Don't smoke in 8th grade. But
I really wasn't smoking in 8th grade. Like there was a documentary on Netflix because I just always had this stigma about it, right?
Right.
And then that documentary really made me think, okay, cool. So I'm just being lied to by a lot of people. A lot of people just have this idea that it's bad. But, you don't really know. You never tried it. You know what I'm saying? My parents grew up with like, oh, like this is bad for you. Don't do it. But why? And that documentary opened my eyes.
Yeah, and there's some groups, like if you're prone to certain mental illnesses or I think psychosis, it can accelerate the onset of schizophrenia or psychosis. So like if you're already going to be schizophrenic, it'll accelerate the onset. But, so like it's not for everyone,
Yeah. Be careful. Obviously, do your research, regulate it. Anything we say here is for entertainment purposes only. All right? Everything we say.
No official financial advice here. We're not financial advisors.
Not financial
Always
advisors.
Always got to put that in.
All right, yo. I think it's been a dope podcast, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, we'll do it again next time with Action Bronson.
Yeah, man. Action Bronson. Taylor Swift too.
Yeah, it'll be like that Kanye video where they're all like in bed together. Did you see that one?
All right, guys, yo. Peace out. Boom.